Christmas, everyone, and welcome to my review of A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas. Alright, so this one starts off, and it's 7 years after escaping from Guantanamo Bay, about 6 or 7 years later, and Harold and Kumar, best friends, roommates, have gone their separate ways. Harold is a successful businessman on Wall Street and has given up smoking weed and all that and married Maria. Kumar is poor and still lives in the messy apartment he once shared with Harold, and he was telling Santa what he wanted for Christmas, and he was watching, and he was getting weed, and he was showing and then he was showing a waffle bot, and he had a beard, he was still smoking weed, but then he was dumped by his girlfriend Vanessa, and she came to the apartment and told her that she was pregnant, and he didn't take it too well. He said he just came on her back and a couple squeaks got by, and maybe is that all it takes? And she said yeah. And Mr. Perez, Harold's father-in-law, who came to Maria's house, he doesn't like Harold, and he also brings over his Christmas tree that he's been growing for 8 years and gives Harold a small lecture about Christmas tree's importance. And then and then Kumar was shaving, and they said, "Be right there." And then there was a package at the front door for Harold, and they said, "Harold, he hasn't lived here in so long." So Adrian was driving him, and then he went to Harold to go visit him and drop off the package for him, but he found out it was a joint. And he said, "Is this a joke?" And he said, "Had I known what was in there, I would have smoked it." And then he said, "There's no smoking in this house. What douche made up that rule?" And he said, "This douche did." "You smell something burning?" He threw the joint out the window, but then the other window opened up and let the joint swarm back in and burned the Christmas tree. He said, "It's burning! We need to get rid of this tree!" And Kumar went, "Okay!" And he threw it out the window. He threw it through the window. I mean, he wasn't even sure if he wanted to be friends with Kumar anymore or invite him to the party, because he wasn't friends with Kumar anymore, and he was friends with Todd. And she said, "With Todd? Oh yeah, he's a lot of fun." And he said, "At least he doesn't create a disaster everywhere he goes." And Kumar's new friend Adrian was going to go to a party, but Harold had reserved the last Christmas tree of all. And then Adrian had crashed and went foom, 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 and crashed. And Harold was there too. Or no, Kumar was with him, and then they were going crazy. And then they almost blew up, and then he went, "Harold? Kumar?" Or like, "Kumar? Harold? So you've wrecked both trees in one day." And he said, and then I think he said, "That's a perfectly salvageable tree. That was a completely salvageable tree," or something like that. I can't remember what he said, but then he said, "Now you've wrecked 2 Christmas trees in one day." And then they had to hang around, and he was smoking weed, but he didn't realize there was a baby in the back of in the car, and then Kumar and Harold were gonna go to the party, so they went to the party so he could get a tree, and then Harold and Kumar decided to start hanging out together, or decided to go on an adventure, and they were gonna get that tree. They were playing beer pong while Adrian was having sex with a virgin whose dad was Sergei Hitsin, or whatever his name is. He was a Russian gangster, and and Harold's friend Todd also arrived at the party with them, and the girl named Mary was gonna try to seduce Harold at one point, but Mary is the daughter of a Russian mob kingpin named Sergei Kastov, and he was gonna send his men to kill Harold and Kumar because they thought that they were gonna rape his daughter. But something that happened was, here's what Harold did. He did this old roldy trick with beer pong, and he threw this ball, and the ball went boom, 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 and went right into the guy's beer thing. And they said, "Who are those guys?" And they said, "I don't know, but they're fucking studs." And earlier they called them losers and queers. And he said, "You're not gonna get it. There's no way you're sinking it. Not in my house." And he threw the ball everywhere, and it bounced, went right into his beer thing. And then, but then they did something to eggnog that Harold and Kumar drank, and made them claymating. And then they thought that that a little kid was a squirrel, and they were playing with his cheek, and they said, "You're so cute." And then a big snowman in claymate was going to kill them, but it was just a plastic snowman in real life. And then Rosenberg and Goldstein showed up, and then they all went to White Castle again. It was the first time, it was Rosenberg and Goldstein for the first time in years, and Harold and Kumar were going to steal a Christmas tree from church, but they ended up in a Christmas featuring Neil Patrick Harris, who they had thought died from a gunshot. And then they were talking about How I Met Your Mother, and Neil Patrick Harris was, which was actually kind of funny. This is actually kind of funny because John Cho, who plays Harold, and Cal Penn, who plays Kumar, were both in How I Met Your Mother. John Cho was only in one episode. Kumar, the guy who plays Kumar, was in like 10 episodes. When he dated Robin Scherbatsky, and I think the guy who played Harold formed a friendship with Jason Segel in that movie. But actually, there is something I want to say to this, because How I Met Your Mother actually came out 1 year after Harold and Kumar came out. And then How I Met Your Mother started a year after Harold and Kumar came out. Then the second Harold and Kumar movie came out in 2008, when How I Met Your Mother had been going for 3 years. And then they met again in 2000. They rekindled again in 2011. That was 3 years after the third Harold and Kumar came out, I think. Or the second one, I mean. Let me see. Yep. And that's when they were in How I Met Your Mother. That had been going on for 6 years. Went on for 9 years, though. How I Met Your Mother. And then he said, when he came in, he had kissed his friend, or his husband in real life, David Burka. And then, yeah, this is so funny because he has kids with David Burka, and they call David Daddy and call Neil Patrick Harris Papa. It's like, Daddy? Papa? Or like, Dad? Papa? Something like that. And then they went and said, "Hey, he was massaging a girl," and in every Harold and Kumar movie, he doesn't be gay, and that's the same in How I Met Your Mother, except he did kiss David Burka in the movie. But he was pretending he wasn't gay, and so was David Burka. He said he has a wife and kid at home. "I'm leaving." And then they said, "I thought you were gay." He said, "I am gay. Gay for that pussy," but he got crack or weed crack, I think, from David Burka. And then he was massaging a girl's back, spit on her back and rubbed it, and she said she'd rip his dick off or something. And then the funny thing is, he's like, when the thing collapses, he's like, "Morty, Kumar, long time." And he said, "It's Harold, actually." "Of course it is, of course it is. Sit down." And he said, "Would you like a waffle, Mr. Harris?" That's what the waffle bot said. And he said, "Shut up! God, I hate this fucking pancake bot thing." I said, "It's a waffle bot. They're awesome." And he said, "Hey, waffle thing, get the fuck out of my life." And he kicked it and went, "Ouch." And he said, "Anyway, what can I do for you, my burglars of turd?" And they said, time the fuck out, Neil. How the fuck are you still alive? Yeah, how the fuck are you still alive, man? And he said, what are you talking about? We saw you get shot, remember? And he's like, you have to be more specific. And he said, in that whorehouse in Texas, you branded a prostitute, remember? And he's like, oh yeah, now I remember. And he said, it hurt like hell at first, and then everything faded away, and I went to heaven. And then St. Peter was there to greet me at the door, and he was like, whoa, no way, MPH. And Neil Patrick Harris was like, yup, like he usually does, because in the first one it's like, yep, the second one's like, yep, and the third one's like, yup. And then he went, I like the way he's like, because I kind of say the same thing he does when I pass out food samples. They're like, is it good? And I'm like, yup. Or I'm like, would I lie to you? Something like that. And then Jesus kicked him out of heaven. I don't like the way they made fun of my religion. I'm a Christian. And then Harris hooked him up with a Christmas tree on the set. He said, listen, Neil, while we're here, I was wondering if I can get you one of those Christmas trees from set. Sure, no problem. How do you know that? I can read your mind. Well, Neil, you think I can get you a free waffle bot? You know what? Take mine. I hate that stupid Android fuck. And he said, dude, don't call him that. And he said, hey, waffle bot, what's up? Waffles are awesome. Pancakes suck. And he said, I hate pancakes. And he said, so do I. Kumar. And then they were having a pancake. They were gonna put up the Christmas tree, or they had the Christmas tree, and he was happy. But then Sergei Kustov's men were gonna burn them alive, or had poured gasoline on them, and they didn't have a lighter. So then they decided to make up because they were brothers, and then they hugged each other after they were getting into an argument. But then they were going to shoot Harold and Kumar, but then the Waffle Bot came out, and he said, because they took Waffle Bot and he said, I hate pancakes. He said, a Waffle Bot, Mary would love one. And they went, oh crap, that's what Waffle Bot said. And he said, Kumar, my friend, Kumar and Waffle Bot friends forever. And he said, Kumar, your waffles are ready. And he said, Waffle Bot. He's like, hey, Waffle Bot, these guys think pancakes are better than waffles. I hate pancakes. And then he burned one with hot, even though he got shot, he spewed, the Waffle Bot spewed hot maple syrup on one, or a hot syrup in one, and then hit the other one with a Waffle Bot tool, with the little thing that smacked him. So he smacked the second one twice, and then Kumar felt kind of left out because I think Rosenberg or Goldstein knew about the party, but Kumar didn't, because he didn't want to invite Kumar, and then Vanessa was invited. And then he said, dude, I don't want to come to your shitty party. I just can't believe that you would invite Vanessa and not even tell me. He said, am I supposed to feel bad? And he said, maybe if you acted like adult, you'd actually be invited to more adult parties. And he said, I was having a really good day until you showed up today. And then, because they went through disasters everywhere they went, but then he told him that he's the perfect guy for Maria. Wait. And then they had a gun, and then they shot it in the sky, and they said, what happens? What now? He said, I don't know, because he said he'd seen it done in the movie. And then they saw that Santa was shot, and then Kumar stitched him up, and then brought him back, and then he said, listen, Santa, we're really sorry. That's what Harold said. And he said, oh, I know it wasn't your fault. You two have always been good boys. And he said, tell that to my father-in-law. He said, I can take the blame for that. And and then he brought him back. But then he thought that Harold quit smoking weed for some kind of reason, and then he flew him back to the house, to Harold's house, and then he said, I'm guessing you don't have a tree there for me? And he said, sorry, I can't help you out with that. Besides, I already gave you your present. And he said, you did? Yes, you got my package, right? And he said, the joint? And Harold was like, the joint? And then Kumar was like, that was you? Yeah, it was my little way of bringing you boys back together. And then he said, hey, I'd really like it if you came over tomorrow. Wouldn't be a party unless you were there. And he said, it's about fucking time, Roldy. Hey, I wouldn't miss it. And then he said, bye-bye, Roldy. Be a good boy and no more jerking off to a sock full with baby's powder. And he said, yeah, I do it too. And then Harold finally showed up. And then Mr. Perez was angered to see that his tree was gone, and then Harold stood up, explaining that he may not be the perfect son-in-law, but he's a perfect guy for Maria, and he said everything that happened, like he had a baby on cocaine. Oh yeah, speaking of Todd and Adrian, they got out of the Russian sociopath's house because he went, yeah, and he tried to knock him out, but then one had a weight that was shaken and he hit the Russian gangster in the head. But then the funny thing is, that baby was high on cocaine, so that baby started giggling and screaming because she was on cocaine. But when she was on drugs, Harold and Kumar started rapping and said, if you want, it ain't nothing to fuck with. We got Wu-Tang Clan or something like that. Ain't nothing to fuck with. And then he said, I didn't care for the language, but that was awesome. What is that? The Wu-Tang Clan. The woo-hoo? Wu-Tang Clan. And he said, Harry, when did you become a rapper? And he's like, there's a lot that you don't know about Harry. Was that directed at me? Yeah, douche. Okay. And then they went, and then they were hanging out, and then he knew Harold was always a nice guy, but he wanted to make sure that he had kahoonies, whatever that is. Oh, testicle. He said he wanted to make sure that Harold had balls before accepting him into the family, so he actually did. And Harold and Kumar rekindled their friendship. Kumar and Vanessa rekindled their romance because he went there and told her, and he would retake the exam to become a doctor for their sake and for their child. But then she said, use my pee instead of yours because he smokes weed. She said, don't quit weed. Whenever you do a drug test, use my pee and use her pee so he wouldn't fail a drug test. And then they rekindled their romance. Kumar tells Vanessa he would retake the exam to become a doctor. Harold decided to smoke weed again with Kumar, and then the waffle bot was making waffles for them, and it showed Vanessa saying waffle bot, but it showed it mouthing because it was singing. And then Neil Patrick Harris had shot stuff out of the candy cane, and they were fake grabbing it, and everyone was having a good time. Todd was there and everything. Harold and Kumar were smoking weed again. They share a joint again for the first time, and then the film ended with Santa smoking a bong while riding his sleigh. Okay, so that does it for all my Harold and Kumar movie reviews, but I suggest you definitely check these movies out. They were actually funny. They're really stupid, but they're really funny. I enjoyed all three of these, and I give these movies about... The first one I did like, the second one I liked even more, and probably the third one's in there too. Like, the first one I give like a 10 out of 10, the second one I give a 12 out of 10, and the third one maybe a 10 out of 10 or an 11 out of 10. I like them all though. Stay up to date and subscribe. Alright, bye. Peace out.